All right. It looks good.
Awesome.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another CLA podcast today. We are here with.
Feifan Lou.
He is our amazing, amazing Texas governor. And today we're just going to talk about CLA. So the first question is, what is the biggest difference between CLA and previously known as JSA? Like, what's the biggest difference?
I think the biggest difference is we're really trying to emphasize accessibility. So one thing is, first of all, like convention costs. So I know previous conventions were like $115. This one was just $35. So obviously there is still a price barrier, and we'd love to, with more fundraising, to be able to bring it down even more, and maybe even help people with hotels. The second thing is we're trying to put more emphasis on like regional conventions. Honestly, it's pretty hard because organizing a convention is a lot of work, and having less people is always going to make it harder. But we are trying to focus more on that because we think having discussions with people in your local community can really help be more of a focused approach to tackling like community issues and being civically engaged. And it's also, again, a low-cost way to get involved. It's low commitment. You don't need to drive, for example, from Houston or Dallas all the way to Austin. You can just do the convention in your home city, and it's just a lot better, I would say.
Yeah, and during this transition, what is the biggest challenge you face creating and managing Texas CLA?
I would say the biggest challenge, I'll actually do two. So the first one I would say is like a lack of adult support. The adults that are involved are all very supportive, right? Like the chaperones, for example, are supportive. But not having like a state director that's an adult meant that for me and the rest of the governors, it was literally just us. We have to like figure out how to handle money. We have to fill out these legal forms. We had to do a lot of different things that were very hard as kids to do. It was a lot of logistics rather than just, before it was kind of, our goal is to create more civically engaged people. How do we get there? Now it's more like, what are the very small little details, communicating with the Capitol, figuring out how do we price this convention, how do we make enough money to break even at the very least. And the second challenge would be kind of dwindling support, I would say, because at first there was a lot of support after JSA dissolved, but afterwards I noticed like there were some student leaders who would kind of drop off the map because I think some people were kind of motivated by college applications, having like a leadership role, and when they saw this organization has like less prestige, it's new, I'm not guaranteed to get like my credit for it, a lot of people just kind of did less. So those are some issues for us.
So what are some tasks you do as a governor?
So the one that comes most immediately to mind is, so every week we'll have our beanstalks meeting, and the beanstalks refers to the Big 11. So our 7 directors, the Big 3, and our chief of staff Mara. So I lead those meetings and kind of just making sure each department is consistently making progress and setting goals. Other than that, I'm coordinating with like new contacts. Like that is one of the roles of expansion, but I also do some of it because we have different people getting referred to me. Like for example, teachers have expressed interest to me. I'm in my, well, no, that's not as much. The other one is as a member of the Council of Governors. There's a lot of national work, and honestly, it's pretty hard because the national cabinet sometimes feels disconnected. So making consistent progress and making sure that all of the national directors are on task is really hard if they're not very motivated. We're lucky because we do have some very motivated national directors, but in other areas, we kind of just, it's just like a lot of having to remind people. Yeah, I would say being governor, there's a lot of reminders, a lot of deadline setting, a lot of trying to motivate people to stay on task.
Yeah, and as you know, Texas CLA, one of our main goals is to basically try to encourage civic engagement among the youths. So how do you encourage someone to be more politically engaged in high school?
So when I'm talking to someone, the first question I usually ask is I'll refer to like a recent political event. So if I were to talk to someone right now, I'd ask, what did you think of the election? Like, what do you think of the results? And whether they're like, wow, this election was terrible, or whether they're like, I'm so glad Trump won, either way, to me, that is a good indication that they care somewhat. And I think everyone, to a degree, cares about politics because it affects every single one of us. It's just that we believe that we can't do anything, which is why so many people like stop caring. So the way we try and get people to engage is talking to other people, because I think having discussions and exploring like difficult topics, at least for me and for people that I've talked to, is very rewarding, and it kind of makes you feel that you're learning a lot. Another way is we try and do like activism. So right now, like writing letters to your representatives, that's a good way to try and make some tangible change, try and get youth voices out there, because it is the case that a lot of the policies being pushed today are not like very broadly supported by the youth.
Now, I know that you have a background in speech and debate. So does it play a role in you being in CLA now, and does it help you as a role as a governor?
I would say it definitely is the reason why I joined, because Varun, shout out Varun, former LTG, he was the reason why I joined. He was an upperclassman in debate, and I remember there were a lot of bellator debaters in JSA formerly, and they kind of were like, yo, come to Fall State. So I came to Fall State, and then Varun was like, give a subsequent speech. So I gave one. And I kind of just really enjoyed it from there, and I kept coming. And it's definitely helped me. I think the major thing is like being able to speak, because if I didn't do speech and debate, I would definitely have been really nervous when I was up there talking. But I didn't really feel anything at all. And I think it's just good to be able to articulate your points, because most people have a lot of stuff up here, but being able to like say it in a way that helps other people understand it is important.
And what is some advice you would give to some incoming CLA members?
Yeah, so first of all, I would say thank you very much for expressing interest. I would say just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I think it applies to life too. The more you put in, the more you get out. If there's a speech that you want to give, anything, just 30 seconds you want to say something, raise your hand, go up there. My first speech, my chapter members kind of laughed at me afterwards. It was okay, right? Because some people also came up after and were like, wow, nice speech. And even if you stumble completely, even if your speech is 5 seconds, at least you tried. Next time it's going to be easier. Really put forth your best effort towards becoming like a better leader in your community, becoming more civically engaged. Because I think you'll find as you grow up that those things matter quite a bit. So does having fun, but having something that gives you meaning is really valuable.
Yeah, and finally, is it true that you play Code Chef in your econ class?
Okay, I guess Emerald told you that.
Yeah.
Yes, because like every Wednesday there's like a Code Chef contest, and I'm not like really good at coding, but my friends kind of put me on, and they're like, hey, you should do this. And even though I'm the lowest division, my ELO is terrible, I'm 1 star, I fail every contest.
Gotta get that out.
Yeah, I still feel like it's good to challenge myself.
And how do you spell Jonathan?
Okay. I know how to spell it, but for the sake of this, I'll spell it the way I used to spell it. JOHNATHON. I do know how to spell it now.
All right. And there's like a video resurfacing of like you wearing a dog collar. Is that like true?
Definitely not. I think it's really scary how like huge AI has gotten nowadays, and I think that we definitely need more regulation.
Yeah. I agree. And thank you so much. Thank you so
no
much,
problem.
man. I'll see you guys next time.